Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my Monday. Gotta love call center hours. Special, aren't they? And welcome to another stupid o'clock in the morning episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels, and as you can see, I'm drinking my tea. So, I found something this morning, folks, that I've actually been looking for quite some time for this channel. It's one of the transcripts of the testimonies of one of the survivors of the JRC from the 2014 through 2016 FDA hearings. So, we are going to go over somebody that we've mentioned on this channel many times, Jennifer Msumba. This is going to be a transcript from her April 2014 taped video testimony. Now, before we get into it, just a few quick disclaimers. First of all, you are going to find the link to this in the description, as well as other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign. Most importantly, the template letters in order to reach your Senate representatives. We are trying to push through that new bill. We've got it past the House. Now we just got to get it through the Senate to remove public funding from the Judge Rotenberg Center for as long as they're using those shock devices. Now, in my opinion, these people are way too freaking slippery for comfort. I feel like the only permanent solution to keep those people safe in there is to close down the school entirely, but it's a very good first step towards that. So please find the templates, they're in the description. Make sure to fill one out and get it sent off to your senator. It's very easy. Also, please don't forget to sign the Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. That is also linked in the description as well. Now, other disclaimer. When we are talking about the JRC, we are going to be giving you vivid descriptions of, as well as sometimes showing video surveillance of, people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you have young children present, folks, please wear your headphones. Alright. Sorry. So, without further ado, folks, and yes, I may stumble over my words, it's stupid o'clock. Anyways, so without further ado, this is Jennifer Msumba's April 2014 video testimony transcript. Let's just read through the introduction real quick. In April 2014, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration held an advisory panel hearing on a potential proposed ban of aversive conditioning devices used for contingent electric shock. The Judge Rotenberg in Canton, Massachusetts, is the only known institution to currently use such devices for behavioral modification. Jennifer Msumba, a biracial autistic survivor of the JRC, who spent several years in that institution, gave testimony via video. This is the transcript of that testimony taken from the official hearing transcript. This is courtesy of Lydia Brown, aka AutisticHoya.net. Now, she and her website are definitely things you're going to want to follow to get all your information that you can, especially to spread this around. So, always keep an eye out for her links. She's been a majority of where my source information has come from. Okay, so this is Msumba. My name is Jennifer Msumba, and I wanted to make this video as my opportunity to express what happened to me when I was at the Judge Rotenberg Center in regards to the GEDs and how it affected me. I was there from the year 2002, March 2002, until April in 2009. When I would get a GED, most times I would get a very bad muscle cramp that would last me for 1 or 2 days. I would get burn marks on my skin. They like to call them small raised bumps. They're burn marks. It's electricity going into your skin, and it's very itchy and it stings afterwards. And you have these circle or marks where you get the GED. I also at one time was given several GEDs in one leg in a row, and I have a terrible pain shoot all the way through to my foot. And after that, I had no sensation in my skin on the lower half of my leg. And for about a year, if I would touch my skin, I couldn't even feel anything that touched my skin from that. So no lasting effects, my ass. Also, the GEDs will, what they call, misfire a lot. That happened to me in double digits, where it would go off by itself maybe if it got wet. One time I got caught in the rain. Other times, if they give you a GED to someone else nearby, and that device is similar to yours, it can set yours off. Then I had times when staff made mistakes and mixed up whose device they're using. So they're meaning to give a GED to another student, and they give it to you. I've seen some people's just go off and keep going off and going off over and over to you. And the staff would literally have to rip open the bag and pull out the wires to get it to stop. These are things that you were getting shocked for no reason at all, not even behavior. It's an accident and it happens all the time. It's not safe. It doesn't feel safe. I ended up having nightmares weekly, if not nightly, at least once a week about the JRC and the GEDs, about being on the GEDs. In these nightmares, I'm getting shocked. During the day, if I hear certain noises, like the Velcro they used to keep them closed, I freeze. I feel like it's about to happen to me. If I am having a hard time, I start to think I'm there again, and I'm going to get shocked for it. I've been to dozens of horrible places, hospitals, residential schools, and I have never once had a nightmare about any of them. Here's a little further, and that's Linda Brown. Now, below is something I want to show you. It's very important. Jennifer Msumba, a biracial woman, was held in the Judge Rotenberg Education Center for several years. After testifying via video at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's advisory panel hearing in April 2014, she began to write a blog documenting her experiences at the JRC. She also spoke on a 2014 panel, along with disabled attorneys Deepa Gorea and Shane Neumeyer at Georgetown University on disability and institutional abuse. In 2015, Jennifer published a page from her behavior sheet at the JRC to her blog. This is a text-accessible version of the sheet, which is shown as an image. So I want you to take a look at this. Oh, goodness gracious. Now, let's see if it'll let us scroll in. Okay, maybe not. And here's a. Wish it would let me see it more clearly. Of course, they're not gonna let her show it. But, anyways, since it's not really allowing us to show it. Here, I wonder if I click this. That's an image of it, anyways. It's not really allowing us to pull up the full. Oh, for the love of Pete. Sorry, folks. Let me get back to where I was. Okay. And here's a handy list of abbreviation explanations for the euphemisms and blatant duplicity. So, folks, this is about to give the lie to the whole JRC, but we only shock them about maybe once a week, and it's due to their self injury and aggressive behaviors. Remember when I told you to do your homework, media? Do you remember that? Here it is. So, what exactly do they shock you for? Well, here's the detailed list. OOS, out of seat. Helmet, sensory assault helmet that covers your head and assaults you with awful white noise. Lose points, points toward gaining a reward. Touch electrical items in an attempt to dismantle or defeat its use. Trying to take the GED shock device off or to prevent it from shocking. GM, General Monitor. HDB, Health Dangerous Behaviors. UD, Urination Defecation, which, kind of happens when you lose control of your muscles when they're attached to your freaking torso. Can also happen when you're freaking terrified. MDIS, maybe manipulative, destructive, or inappropriate speech. Wow. NCMP, non-compliance. Isn't that interesting? Shocked for non-compliance. Like stuff that, ordinary teenagers act with non-compliance all the damn time. It's called teenage rebellion for a reason. But if you're disabled, it's called non-compliance, and they believe that that gives them the right to punish you with electroshocks. Yeah. Excuse me. Education social. Well, LOP. Loss of privileges, basically disciplinary status. WATC. Individualized learning software that the JRC uses. IVB. Inappropriate verbal behavior. Kind of makes you think what inappropriate verbal behavior they're talking about, because I had come into that school. I have the mouth of a sailor. They would be shocking my ass all the damn time. Okay. Aggress 1. GED 4. Legs, waist, crossovers, helmet for 1 hour. OOS without permission. To exclude rewarding environments in the all-purpose room. Out of bed without permission. To exclude bath-ups. Make verbal or written threats to aggressive posturing. Any physical aggression towards others, including attempts to include biting, hitting, punching, pulling hair, choking others, spit at others. You better bet I'm going to do that to the staff. They put that shit on me. Ooh, I'd do a lot worse. But yeah, basically anything that they consider, like, who wouldn't threaten someone who's torturing them to back off, at least for the first few times, before the fear starts really setting in? Just saying. Destroy 1, GED 4. Legs, waist, crossover, helmet 1 hour, lose all points. Property destruction to include attempts and threats, verbal or written. To include bang objects, kick objects, throw objects. Slam doors. Touch electrical outlets without permission. Touch electrical items in an attempt to dismantle or defeat its use. Wow, we can't have you all getting out of your punishment now, can we? God, this is sick. Like, Stuff that you won't shock a normal neurotypical person for. Like, maybe, what, if, should I get to punch a neurotypical in the face because they're slamming doors is a sensory nightmare? Because that's the logic the JRC is operating off of. Moving on. HDB, GED4, legs, waist, crossovers, helmet, 1 hour, lose all points. Blatant attempts to hurt self, including headbang, attempts to cut body with objects, CDs, stick items in body, tacks, pushpins, attempt to commit suicide, to include lying objects around the neck. Yeah, many of the folks who were victims who spoke at this hearing did admit suicide thoughts just as an attempt to get away from what was happening to them. Runaway attempts to include attempts, which just happened to her. Remove seatbelt without permission. Attempts to remove restraints. Waist, ankle, crossover helmet. Basically, anything that shows that you are struggling. You weren't even allowed to show that you were struggling against the restraints because it hurts. Imagine that. You were just supposed to lay still and take it. Make suicidal gestures. Pick fingers to cause redness and or bleeding. Violent head shakes. Pick scabs. All of us has picked a scab. Seriously? Hit self. Scratch self to cause injury. Drop self to floor. Verbal threats to harm self, to include comments about health dangerous behaviors or dying, such as don't bang your head, kill me, excluding when speaking with treatment team or nursing. Pressurize ears, eyes for more than 3 seconds. Really? Self-restraining for 5 seconds or more. Wow, really? Forcefully wrapped hands and clothing. Forcefully pulling clothing into body. Forcefully wrapping legs or arms around chair. And forcefully pull self into GM table. Repetitive hand movements in front of face. Wow, really? Tense up for more than 2 seconds. To include fingers. Really? So if you tense up for more than 2 seconds when they are shocking you, and that is a natural bodily occurrence, they're going to shock you more. Wow. Remove shoelaces, drawstrings without permission. Jesus. HDP, inappropriate UD. Defecate or urinate anywhere but in a toilet. When you're being shocked and you lose control of your bowels, and then you're shocked for losing control of your bowels for what they're doing to you, logic. I don't think these fuckers have any. MDIS 1, GED 4. Legs, waist, crossover, helmet, 1 hour, lose all points. Swear at others, to include non-verbally. Yell, scream, steal. Well, I'm going to yell if you're hurting me. I'm going to scream if you hurt me. Seriously? Steal, to include food. Instruct or request others to exhibit negative behaviors. Make threats or comments about breaking behavioral contracts. Really? Clear desk or table of objects forcefully. Forcefully jumping at inappropriate times. Loud, repetitive, disruptive talk out. Racial comments, sexual comments, gestures. Expose yourself, to include removing clothing at inappropriate times, excluding shoes, socks. In CMP1, GED 4, legs, waist, crossover, helmet, 1 hour, lose all points, 3-step direction. Blatant no, refusal to follow any given direction, 3-step direction. Attempt to remove or defeat the purpose of the GED, refuse physical prompting. So, any act of non-compliance, any act of defiance qualifies to them as aggressive behavior. Media, are you getting this? Are you getting this? Any form of non-compliance at all Any form of not obeying immediately within 5 seconds, even stuff that in no way is going to harm the student, gets them shocked. This is why I told y'all you're all disappointing and not doing your damn homework. MDIS-2-NO, ritualistic behaviors, hesitating before passing through doorways, repetitive tapping of objects, having to touch something with both hands instead of just one. EDSOC-1-NO, point fine, personal space violation, stop work, mimic others, rude gestures to include sticking out her tongue, rocks with appropriate stimulus, avoid eye contact. Wow, really? Y'all really don't know anything about autism now, do ya? Non-functional manipulation of objects for more than 5 seconds. Wow. And wonder what their definition of functional is. Facial grimacing. Pace, take off shoes without permission. Write bizarre letters, notes, etc. Like, you're abusing me? Please get help? Spit food, not at others. Hand play while seated at a GM, also known as stimming. We can't have us stimming or self-regulating ourselves to keep ourselves calm while we're being constantly abused now, can we? We have to take it. After all, we're non-compliant. Kill me. Hey, guess what? Judge Rotenberg Center, I said, kill me. Guess what? You can't do shit. I don't live in your state. God, sick fucks. Cry at inappropriate times. I'm sure they would say an inappropriate time would be crying after a shock because it hurts. Perform a learned task incorrectly. Leaning on the side of the chair and sitting backwards in the chair, but will exclude turning head around, and also to exclude turning head around in response to a commotion or a crisis. Suck thumb, negative reaction, crying, stomping, noises, comments. Yet God forbid anybody speak up about their inhumane treatment. To change any schedule or information given to her, repeatedly rub head. Lending, borrowing, receiving of items. Make medical complaints without foundation. Lie. Threaten, intimidate, complain, talk about back concerning staff decision, pinpoint conduct. Oh, we're not allowed to talk back. We're not allowed to defend ourselves in any way because we're guilty. And what are we guilty of? Existing while being disabled. And that is a sin that people like the Judge Rotenberg Center just can never forgive us for. Intentionally blow air on others, touching other students' belongings without permission. Refuse to complete task or chore or intentionally complete WATC. Work incorrectly. Misplace, hide, leave behind restraint bag or other individual restraints. Leaving helmet, restraints, entire bag at the house before transport to school and vice versa. Leave a supervised area to include attempts. Spit, drool, blow nose on self. Run through building to include hallways, classrooms, residents. Stand, climb on furniture. Rude comments of a vicious, hurtful nature. Manipulative staff. Sudden tick-like body movements. Oh my god. Seriously? Like the ones you induce because that's how body moves when you're being shocked? Any communication interaction with, including speaking to or staring at, any rude behavior during presentations, falling asleep, closing eyes, talking, rude facial expressions. Well, consider you all practice sleep deprivation, and then you're going to punish them even further for sleeping during class because you deprived them of sleep the night before? Wow. Refuse to eat more than 50% of meal. Wow, because soy paste is something I'm just gonna eat all up. Wow. Argue with staff. Student, interrupt others, nag, talk, speak in inappropriate tone of voice, tease others, laugh, sing at inappropriate times. Bizarre speech. I'm going to heaven today. What, what what's wrong with that? Comments about hearing voices, seeing things, nonsense noises. Nonsense noises to you, fuckers. I feel like doing all of this today. Just doing all of it and doing it with a smile on my face because there's nothing that those fuckers would be able to do to me about it. This is a small protest that I can do against this stupidity. Negative comments to include or about other student self. This is disturbing, folks. This is what the media needs to see. This is what the media really, really needs to see. Because they are just buying the JRC byline hook and sinker. But what they're not looking at is this. All of this right here. What they consider shockable offenses, what they consider aggressive, is not aggressive at all. Some of it is basic teenage rebellion. My God. But would you have a neurotypical teenager engaging in those exact same behaviors and have them strapped up? Yeah, I hardly think so. So, that pretty much covers all I wanted to get to for this morning. Now, real quick, we don't get very many views on this channel, especially about this topic. So, folks, please, if you could, don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, don't forget to hit the comments. As always, I do appreciate your time this morning, and we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.